All right, guys. How you guys feeling today?
Phenomenal.
Feeling great. Ready to get this episode started.
Yeah, let's check in on the listeners, guys. How you guys feeling today? Honest check-in. But when it comes to us, it's a social media part too. I know last EP we were running over, and we had some more stuff we want to talk about, and so we're going to continue this conversation about social media on this EP right here. And with that said, I want to say welcome to our I Found a Friend podcast, where we're your hosts helping you navigate life's journeys. It's your host, Eric Diggs.
Jordan Diggs.
John Diggs.
All right, Jordan, kick us off, man.
All right, so we're going to start out with a question. And the question is, we're going to start off with the topic. The topic is fame versus influence. My question is, in your own words, how would you describe what fame is?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I would say that fame is, I guess, somebody that's well known. In my opinion, usually that comes from something you did. I think of like Michael Jordan, first thing that comes to mind. Well known for what he did on the court. So if you was to go even across the country or into another country, people would recognize Michael Jordan during his playing time for what he did on the court. I guess if you bring it back to like the social media aspect of things, I would think of fame as maybe going viral. So people know who you are because of a certain video that went around.
I mean, I'd have to agree. You know, famous is usually just a sense of notoriety for something that's happened, or, you know, being related to somebody can also make you famous. So, yeah, just a sense of notoriety.
Yeah, I would say like fame is being known within a group of people, right? And it's completely subjective, right? So like someone who's famous to me could not be famous to my brothers at all. It's because like what I prioritize or what I find important, like I am heavily into social media. So like I know a lot of people who are like top in TikTok right now, but my brothers might not necessarily know who these people are.
I never know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
ever.
which is so funny because like all our For You pages are different. And John, I know you follow like a lot of comedy creators and people who are funny, and I have no idea who they are, yet they're getting like hundreds of thousands of like on every video.
Is that why you're not funny?
Oh, so you got jokes.
Oh, another example, Jordan, do you know who Patrick Mahomes is?
I have no idea who that is.
Oh, my God.
That's crazy.
That's so crazy.
That's crazy.
Again, like, I'm a big football guy. Jordan does not watch sports at all, for real. So he wouldn't know that Patrick Mahomes is probably the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
But again, example of fame, like just because you're famous to one group of people doesn't mean you're going to be famous in another group.
Yeah. But with that said, like fame is just being well known by a group of people. That's how I would say fame is. All right. So then distinguishing that, then what is influence?
Honestly, like I feel like the two are kind of similar in a sense, but I think the key differentiator here between fame and then influence is that influence, you have the ability to impact somebody's actions. I think like when you think about influence, like if somebody that's influential says something, you feel inclined to get behind it and to do it as well. So like if my favorite creator is representing a certain brand, I'm going to want to buy that brand as well. Whereas if it's just somebody that just went viral one time, I don't really know you, you don't really have influence over me yet, I'm not going to necessarily get behind the cause or support you in that kind of way. Yes, I might know who you are, but that doesn't mean I'm going to support what you do or what you say.
Yeah, I kind of, John, what are you doing? I kind of want to take this a little bit deeper than just like they have the ability to like, you know, affect your actions. I think influence also is like you're invested in someone. You care about them for some reason. You aspire to be them or you're impressed by them. And that's what really gives them influence, is because you feel an attachment to this person in some type of way.
Do you think that people have to be attached to a person to really have influence?
To be influenced by them, yeah. Like you're not, if you don't care about somebody, you're not going to listen to what they say. They could tell you to do 10 jumping jacks right now, but you're like, why would I do that? I don't care about you. You have no power over me in whatever way. And I think that's what influence is having power over somebody. And it's because either you're in a position where they look up to you or you really care about them. And I think that's what really good influencers do. They make you care about them in a certain way.
I was just going to say, do you feel like the influence has to come from people though? Or could it come from things as well?
Well, in this incident, we're talking about people.
Okay.
But what about in the cases like where somebody might just have like a higher position above you? And so out of that position comes influence because what they say impacts your actions because you have to listen to them.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to care about that person, but in that case.
Well, yeah, you do. You care about them because if you don't listen to them, then there's consequences. So, like, you do care about what they say.
So that kind of ties into the
I'm saying
question.
you don't care about that person.
But I feel like we're even going, like, way off track.
I mean,
right
I get what you're saying, but, like, you know, when it comes to, like, influence, like, that's a dynamic where I don't necessarily care about what that person says. That's more of a reflection on my situation that I'm in.
Right.
Or, like, if you see a TikTok trend, right? That's what I was saying. Like, somebody might not care about the person who did the trend, but they might want to try and get famous. That's a different type of influence. It's like,
Yeah. You don't get what he's saying?
You know what I'm saying? It's like they were influenced by the trend, not because of the person, but because they want to be famous. Like, what's the motivation behind your influence?
But that's not the type of influence that I'm referring to.
He's just negating what we're saying because it's not the way he
I'm
wants
it. I'm not negating what you're saying. I'm not saying, yes, things can influence you, but I'm talking about when people influence you to do stuff. Like, for instance, they're promoting a product and they influence you to buy that product. You have to be invested in that person in some way. No one's holding, 9 times out of 10, no one's holding like a gun over someone's head saying, buy my product. No, people buy other people's products because they're influenced by them. And why are they influenced? Because they care about that person in a certain way.
We get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, we're not negating what you're saying. We're just saying that you asked us about influence as a
in
general
general.
question.
Okay.
And so we're bringing different aspects and angles of influence.
But for the rest of the conversation, just to keep Jordan happy, we'll make it only about people.
No, we know this conversation is heavily focused on social media. So
Yeah.
I get what you're trying to get at. We're just bringing in different angles. But this is some good conversation, though. So what else you got, Jordan?
Well, that was like my main question, fame versus influence. And I wanted to talk about that because I wanted to lead into practical tips on how to build your platform. And I think it's important to distinguish between fame and influence so you guys understand how do you build a successful, sustainable social media platform. But before we get into that, I want to ask Eric and John, since y'all are creators and y'all have built platforms with thousands of followers, what are your practical tips for someone who's just getting into social media? They might be thinking, oh, I want to be a content creator. What are your top tips that you would give them when they're just starting out?
I think before we do that, we need to give ourselves a little bit of credibility.
Okay.
Like, just name off.
Go ahead, like say your resume. Yeah.
So for me personally, just TikTok, 108,000 followers. That's like my biggest one right there. I know John and Jordan, they go crazy on all their socials.
John, what's your resume?
I guess it's my turn. My bad. I thought she was going to keep going. My fault.
Okay.
Right. He said, let me build some credibility. One stat.
I'm talking about you guys as a whole. Like,
for
all of us
sure.
going to say something, you know?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've had 3 TikTok accounts, all with over 10,000 at least. Currently with one that has 120-some thousand, 5 million likes. YouTube almost at 500 subs. Instagram at like almost 5,000 followers.
We can kind of get in a little bit to our stories too while we're giving tips, because I feel like that's going to help a lot of you guys out is if we get into our stories.
Right.
But with me personally, so I'm not even going to talk about myself at first. I'm just going to say like I've helped build like a lot of different social media accounts. So I used to work as like kind of like a content manager for my college, and I helped build up their YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram accounts. I currently work as a social media manager for a startup company, and like since I've been there for like a little over a month, about a month and a half now, I've built that account to 10,000 more followers than it was when I first got there. And then I've built my first TikTok account up to 670,000 followers. And then that one kind of wasn't doing like what I wanted it to do. So I decided to start a new account, and it's been about 2-3 months and it's already at 50,000 followers. So with that said, when we're giving you these tips and advice, we're speaking from experience and not as like some group. Like sometimes you're going to scroll on social media, you see gurus who swear they know everything about social media and how to help you grow, but they don't really have that social proof behind it. But I feel like we have that social proof behind it, and we'll be able to help you from a more practical point of view.
You see, this is why I didn't really say much, because I knew Jordan was going to come in with the hammer. Bang!
The big drop.
Yeah, but we all learn from him. Like, this man is the social media guru for real, and he's very humble. But again, like Jordan said, we don't profess to know everything, but from our personal experience, we can share things that have had an impact on what we've done. Going back to Jordan saying our story, so we really, growing up, like we weren't even allowed to be on social media for real, for real.
That's
So,
crazy.
like us getting on social media, like everything was new. For me, I didn't really get on TikTok until around COVID in 2020 when I saw one of my friends. He was asking me to help him create videos for this new platform called TikTok. Never heard of it. And I'm seeing what he was doing, and he started going viral. And this is around the time where TikTok, the reach was super organic, so everybody was going viral who was doing something. And I'm like, bro, I can do this. And eventually I hopped on and I started doing it, and I started having success as well. But in terms of just navigating social media, seeing the impacts of fame, seeing the impacts of influence, we've had a lot to learn like, for these past 3-4 years, I would say.
Yeah. John, tell them about how you got into social media.
I guess this would tie into the advice that I would give people about their social media in general. Starting off, what's your why? Is your why to be famous? Is your why to have influence? Is your why to inspire? What's your why? My why was to start a platform, my third platform. My first platform was to just blow up on TikTok. My second platform was to be relatable. My third platform was to inspire people, to let them know that it's okay to be a believer and look and carry yourself a certain way. It was to be an example. So that was the reason that I created content, and it made it a lot easier for people to follow and to relate to me because my why was to, be that example, influence.
I feel like your why is huge, and I feel like I definitely have a strong why in terms of why I started social media, but I think we can just take this all the way back to childhood. Like, I've always been a creative person. I call myself a visual storyteller, and that's like showcase itself through different avenues. So like I used to do art, and then I did theater and dance. So like I've always like to storytell visually. And I remember when I first got my first iPad, I used to go up to my cousins and my friends and I'm like, hey, be in a Jordan Diggs production. And we would travel around and I would just be filming on my iPad. So like this is something that I've naturally always been gravitated and drawn towards. And then I remember in high school, my sophomore year in high school, I found Logan Paul vlogs, and I used to be so excited. Like, there would be long days at school, and I didn't really have friends at that time in high school. It was like a really weird time. And so I would be like just happy to go home and watch a Logan Paul vlog. Like, it would like make me excited, and I don't know, it was just something I look forward to at the end of the day. So as soon as like I found that channel, that kind of made me want to start my first ever, I guess, channel on social media. So I started my first YouTube channel then. And then my parents kind of blocked that because they didn't really understand what it was. Like, what is vlogging? They didn't want me to be too obsessed with myself. So that ended. But as Eric said, I found TikTok through a friend. I was actually in a theater acting class, and I was like, what is TikTok? All these kids are on it, like dancing. I don't want to be on that app. And then everybody was around one of my friend's phones, and they were just like laughing at a video she was watching on TikTok. And I was like, whoa, they sound so cool. And I remember like going up to John and asking, hey, John, can I get TikTok? And I was like, what is TikTok? Because John had TikTok before me. And John was like, bro, just download it yourself and you'll see if you like it or not.
I remember you had TikTok like that early.
Yeah.
I got it in 2019. So like I felt like I hopped on the bandwagon late too, because I was like, I see TikTok. It was around for like a couple of months, but it wasn't big for real. But I'm like, what's this corny app?
It's been around since 2017.
Yeah, I was
in
like,
America.
what's this goofy app? It's stupid.
So it's been around since 2017. Some of the largest creators who we know nowadays who blew up on TikTok started in 2018 and like blew up into 2019. That was like the prime time to be on TikTok. And luckily, John and I both got in. I think, Eric, you might have been a little bit.
I was late. I came in 2020, so
okay.
I came in that COVID wave.
Yeah.
It's still pretty early in the game.
So I came in December 2019. I remember this so vividly because I told myself, I'm not going to download TikTok right now while I'm in school, but once the semester ends, I'm going to download TikTok and see what it's all about. The first night I downloaded it, I was like up till 2 a.m. in the morning just like watching videos. And I was like, whoa, I want to be a creator on this app. So I started creating December 2019, and that's kind of like the start to my social media journey on TikTok. But I feel like the platform has changed so much since 2019. So like now we're going to get into some advice. And one thing that I would say with social media, if you want to get into the game, is just to know that things do change. You have to be flexible. You have to be adaptable. But with that said, if someone has TikTok and they want to be a creator and they're thinking about creating their first video today, what are some practical tips that you have for them?
I would say, what are you getting on social media for? Like John said, know your why. Like for me, my why was I want to influence. I want to inspire people. Like Jordan was talking about being able to watch a Logan Paul or watching all these other creators that I will watch, different motivational content or things like that. Like these people have influence. And sometimes you would watch certain creators and they would use the influence and influence people in a negative way. So it's like, who's speaking into people's lives? What credibility do they have behind that? I want to hop on that wave and be a positive influence. But another thing is a lot of people expect to hop on social media, especially in this new wave of social media, and they expect to blow up really quickly. And that's not realistic. And now that social media is changing and it's got people on the platforms, now it's becoming a lot harder to blow up. So eventually, like earlier, TikTok was easy to blow up on because they just wanted people to get on the platform. But now they got people hooked on the platform consistently. Now the standard and the bar has been raised in terms of going viral. And so you have to prepare yourself. This is going to be a journey. This is going to be a long fight. This is not going to be an overnight success. This could take 5-10 years. Are you willing to be consistent for 5 to 10 years to blow up? In a sustainable way?
That's the huge thing. Mr. Beast, who is one of the largest the largest YouTubers in the world today. He has close to 200 million followers on YouTube. One thing he said is, don't expect your first 100 videos to get 100 views. What he's saying by that is like, expect to create 100 videos and don't expect anything from that. So I love that piece of advice. Is just to, if you're going to be in it for the long run, because it's not a quick ride to success. I know a lot of people think, oh, I want to get on TikTok or like social media and I want to become famous. I want to make a whole bunch of money and I want to have a whole bunch of influence and I just want to change my whole life around. Yes, that is possible. But yes, it takes time.
I guess to steer the conversation back to what we started off with, fame versus influencing, I think that research would be your best friend. If you want to go viral, right, and get famous quickly, then research what trends are popping, what people are doing to blow their account up really quickly. Then copy it. That's how you can make your first videos, make your first few videos. And then you'll increase your chances of being famous or at least being seen. But once again, if your why is to make money, then that's not your best route to go. And if you want to make influence, then your best route to go is building up a community and then selling something to them, advertising something to them. So then once again, go back to the research stage, find creators that you enjoy that are influential, that have an impact, that have a really solid community. And the easiest way, I think, to assess that would be engagement, wouldn't you say? Or is there, what would you say, Jordan?
To assess like how strong your community is, it definitely is engagement. And by engagement, we're meaning like how many people are watching your videos, how many people are liking your videos, how many people are sharing your videos, how many people are saving your videos. These are all engagement metrics that people use to kind of analyze how successful your social media platform is. I think the amazing thing about social media is like a lot of people have a lot of different advice, because it's like something John said is something I would completely disagree on. He was like, research the top trends. Yes, I would say do research the top trends, but my number one piece of advice for people who want to build genuine influence, and I think it's important we break this down between in social media. What is the difference between fame and influence? On social media, fame is blowing up for a video, going viral, right? So you get like 100,000 likes on a video, 100,000 views on a video. That can be considered fame. But influence is when you have a people behind you who are willing to support you no matter what you do. So if you start a clothing brand, they're willing to support you. If you start a business on the side, which is what I really recommend for a lot of people, is like, don't just get on social media just to be on social media. Get on social media to build other things besides your social media, right? So John was like, okay, you need to research viral trends and then start doing those trends. I would say the number one most powerful thing you can do as a creator is create original content. And what you can do is you can take, and original content is just like basically it's videos that are authentically you that no one else is really doing. But what you can do is you can take a trend and make it into an original piece of content, right? So if like a dance is trending, right? For instance, would I make that into original piece of content? I'll be like, yo, I see that this dance is trending. I'm going to see if I can learn this dance in 2 hours. Now it's not just about you doing the trending dance. It's about you, the creator, figuring out how this dance is done, and it's an original piece of content.
I don't think you disagreed with me
I do.
on how to be famous versus influential.
I think he's talking about.
Okay.
Jordan's talking
No.
about
Yeah,
more
yeah.
of a sustainable platform.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. If you want influence, I think that's a sustainable platform. But if you're just trying to be famous, then just do. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. Also,
But I was just to like talk about the whole research piece.
sure.
There's a balance between originality and just straight up stealing someone's content. And there's actually somebody named Mr. Prada on TikTok who's famous for stealing other people's content. I've never seen somebody be famous for that specifically, but that's what he's known for.
Nuts.
So even that is nuanced. Even that has its own, you know what I'm saying, exceptions. But in terms of research is important because you'll get inspired. So like whenever I hit a creative block in terms of the content that I create, I'll go look at what other people do and then I'll implement my own taste. I'm not telling you to copy. Once again, be original. You'll build a better community that way. But I do like research for me personally because I can get inspired and then be like, okay, I can add this to my video because I like how they did it, and I'll add my own spin, own twist, like you said, to it.
right. I feel like there's like a lot of like good nuggets that we're dropping here. But
Take
yeah,
notes. Take notes.
No, for real, take notes because we have like a lot of stuff that we want to say about this. Another thing that they were saying is like know why you're starting. I think it's important to know that if you want to get on social media and make money, that's like a legitimate goal to have for yourself. If you all you want to do is be on social media to make money, that's legitimate. And why I'm saying that's legitimate is because it's possible to make money on social media. You just got to figure out how is that done. But I was on a podcast interview the other day, and I was telling my friend on the interview that wait, I'm sorry, I just like lost my train of thought. It's to make money. Oh, I was just telling my friend that we live in like a world where money needs to be made and like time is money. So if you're spending all your time on social media and you're not making money, then it's just like, okay, it's cool, creative, but like I'm not making money, right? But it's like important that you know how to monetize your content, because if you're able to make money through social media, you're able to produce better videos. You're able to fund your lifestyle that you're living. You know, it just like gives you more freedom and flexibility to live the life that you want to live. So that's why we're saying like when you build your platform, build it right. Because I built a platform to over 670,000 followers, and I did not do it right, and I was not able to make money off of it. And that's my biggest thing that I've learned. So with that said, another huge thing, and we've talked about this in other podcasts, is like don't be afraid to fail, because you're gonna fail inevitably. This is the same in like every industry, every field. Like you have to fail in order to be successful. So with that said, one of my biggest tips is when you first start out, quantity over quality. You just want to get those repetitions in. It's not going to be perfect, right? When I first started making my first videos, it was hard for me to talk to a camera. I would stutter. I would lose my train of thought like I did like a second ago, you know? It's hard, but once you get those repetitions in, it becomes easier.
And also, I'll say prepare yourself for the mental battle. Social media is mentally draining. I don't wake up every day and want to post. There's been times where I've taken months off from posting because I was physically and mentally drained from the platforms. You know, chasing fame, chasing influence like continuously can get exhausting. But I love what John has talked about earlier, and Jordan too, just being original, being yourself. Because if you're here to stay for the long while, then you want to be yourself. You don't want to get caught up in acting and pretending to be something you're not, because that's going to catch up, and eventually you're going to get sick and tired of that. Then you're going to be frustrated because then you're going to start trying to create content that's really who you are, and that's not going to go viral. That's not going to take off. The content that you put out is the content that the algorithm is going to take and say, okay, this is who you are, so this is what we're going to connect people like that like this kind of content. Now, if that's not who you really are, then you just built an audience of people who don't even really connect with who you are as a person. And so that's why I said have a long-term mentality when you're going on social media. Prepare for the 5 to 10 year journey. It could happen a lot quicker than that, but prepare yourself for it to take 5 to 10 years, because at the end of the day, that will encourage you to continue just producing original content that's who you are, because if it's who I am, I can continuously produce that all day, every day. But when it's not who I really am, then I get tired of that really quickly.
I love that, because like that's my personal story. Like I feel like when I got on social media, I just like really wanted to be good at it. So I was looking at these top creators, right? And that's another thing. Like, comparison is real, and it's hard not to compare yourself to other people on social media. But it's like can be like your number one like defeater, your number one enemy is comparison. But anyways, I would like look at top creators. I'm like, I need to emulate exactly what they're doing. I need to be just like them in order to be successful. But what I didn't realize was these creators were being successful because they were being themselves, and me trying to be them was me not being myself. And I was never happy with the content I created, and I felt stuck in a box. And that eventually hurt me in the long run. So as Eric was saying, like, being yourself is number one. That's important. And that's like a piece of advice. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't know what to produce when I first get on social media. And I just say, like, produce anything and everything you want, because when you do that, you start to figure out, okay, I like this type of content. Okay, this feels more like me, right? And then you slowly start to develop your personal brand. So, and I was talking to John about this earlier this morning, but like some people, when you first start on social media, it's hard to like see yourself as a personal brand. You're like, what is a personal brand? Mm-hmm. And the best way I like to define this is your personal brand is when people think of you, what do they think about? So there's this TikToker named Keith Lee, and he does a lot of food reviews, and he talks in a very specific way. He's like very like calm and almost monotone. And that's his brand. When people think about Keith Lee, they think about his food reviews and how he talks. So it's just like, how are people defining you in their mind? That's something else you have to consider.
Yeah, your personal brand and being yourself go hand in hand. But that's just a life lesson in general. I always encourage people, like you said, like, be yourself in person. You'll build those genuine relationships in person.
So
Same
true.
thing with social media. Be yourself online. People will connect to the genuine you. Then you can wake up, post a video about you giving your topic or your opinion on something. People will listen because you have that influence. So, like, it's just crazy, like, when people really gravitate to you, the individual, and not what you provide, and I talked about this in the last episode, then it makes content creation so much easier. If you don't feel like making a video about, you know, what your normal content is, and you just feel like talking to the camera, people are going to listen because they rock with you for you. Versus if you are going viral for dances and then you try to give your piece on something that's going on in society, that video might drop. And it might be something that you care about. It's like, okay, they're not here to hear your political opinion or your, you know what I'm saying, whatever ideas you have. They're here to watch you dance.
Yeah, that's so true.
That is so true, bro. And that stuff really be hurting. Mm-hmm. Like when you like, I really care about this content. It doesn't blow up. You post something else you don't really care about, it goes crazy. Yeah, that stuff, that will take you down.
I think a lot of people get defeated easily. Like, oh, my original content is not blowing up. Like, these trends are blowing up. But like, as we said, social media is a long-term game. And you don't want to blow up quickly. Like, you don't want to gain a bunch of followers quickly because, like, all those followers are following you from a viral video, and now they're going to expect, like, more viral videos. So I don't really know who you are. But, like, if people, like, start to slowly follow you, you're, like, slowly building people who just, like, genuinely care about you. And the reason why influence is so much better than fame, and I kind of touched on it a little bit, is because, like, eventually you're going to want to start promoting things that are outside of social media. You might have a brand that you want to promote, or you might want to start working with other brands. And the thing that other brands look at the most is ROI, that is return on investment. If they sponsor you, what is their return on investment? Can you send people to buy their product that you're sponsoring? And the only way you can get people to buy other people's products is if they really are invested in you. They really like you. They really care about you. They're like, yes, I believe in Jordan. I believe in Eric. I believe in John. So I'm going to get behind them and support whatever they're promoting. And that only happens when you build true influence.
And let me break it down for you even more. Think about this. If I have 1,000 people that give me $100, I just made $100,000. You don't need millions of followers to have the impact that you want in your life, to have that change. Think small. Build a tight-knit, genuine community who really rocks with you for who you are, and they'll change your life, and you'll change their lives in the process.
I love that. That was actually what I talked about in my interview the other day. I was asked, what is a misconception? That is a misconception that you need like millions of followers to grow big, like to have influence and like have money and to have the lifestyle you want. It's not true at all. I know creators who have 10,000 followers who are making more money than people who have 2 million followers.
That's really crazy. Just to close things off, I'll talk about John Gabbana. For those of you who don't know who John Gabbana is now a influencer on social media. And I say he has more influence now than he did back then because he was also Boot Gang. For those of you who don't know, Boot Gang in 2016 was a guy that went around stores yelling Boot Gang and stealing items. But if you watch his testimony and his story, he gave his life to God. But he said during all of those times when he was going viral, when he was famous, people were taking his videos and making money on YouTube clips off of him. He made no money off of that other than the fact that he got famous, people followed him, and he was able to promote. So he didn't really have any influence. And so it's really important to understand you don't need a bunch of people following you because that's not where the money lies. If your goal is to make money, like if you look at Twitch streamers, they're having the same amount of people sub to them every month, a reoccurring payment. You have a couple thousand people subbing to you every month. Twitch or whatever the platform takes their split. That's consistent revenue versus you not knowing when you're going viral. So
true. So with that said, that's some practical advice we have in terms of starting your social media platforms. And also, if you've been looking for a friend, you found one.
Boom.